Hi, I'm Brian Kennedy. I am a teacher slash program manager here at Health Sciences High Middle College. It is a charter high school, middle school here in the City Heights area of San Diego, California. There are many great things about my high school. One of them being is our three main pathways we offer students. The first one being our relationship with Sharp Hospital, where we have students volunteering at various hospitals here in San Diego. The second one being the fire technology program, where we have students learning about fire and paramedics. And the third is my area, which is education, where we have students volunteering in classrooms. In this particular situation, we have two local elementary and then our own middle school. So we have our high school students volunteering with students ranging from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. This is a lesson that I must present and put online on the CTE online website. It is in fulfillment of my CTE credential. The lesson is called You're Beautiful, and it has to do with helping understand about students' self-esteem. I'm teaching, and my objective here is to teach my high school kids about self-esteem and the effects it has on kids, little kids, their age group, even adults. So I would start off with this YouTube video. It was pulled off of YouTube. All I did was did a search for PSA's self-esteem.
There's a house built out of stone, wooden floors, walls, and window sills, tables and chairs warmed by all of the dust. This is a place where I don't feel alone. This is a place where I feel at home.
As an extension of this particular video, if you wanted to, you can have your own students go ahead and do their own video for YouTube, and they can make their own statements of how they felt or their friends felt put down or labeled or judged. After that, I would circle them up, and that's what that little sign says. What does that mean? Well, another thing about my high school is that we're really big an important concept of the school is restorative practices. And you can look this up online. The basic premise is that at the baseline of when students have problems with other students or staff and student, the base of it has to do with relationship. When you have more than one person, it's always about relationship. So if it's broken somehow, fight, stealing, whatever, we have to restore that. So restorative practices is basically how we discipline kids. Although I don't like to use the word discipline, I like to think of it more as coaching. And like I said, there's a lot of protocols to this. It's very detailed, but just in the basic idea of it, one of the strategies is that we circle up students. And we can do it to restore the relationship, but we can also do it just to communicate part of a lesson, review a lesson before you start a lesson, and even the staff circle up every morning before we start school officially. And the staff and the admin get together and circle up and talk about what's going on for the day, any students we want to spotlight, any students that we are concerned about. In a circle situation, we have them sit together in a circle, and we pass around a talking piece. In this case, it will be the apple. The idea being that when you hold on to the talking piece, everyone is quiet. They pass around the talking piece and they address a sentence frame or question, or maybe a couple of them. I have two here that I'll show you. Sometimes I let them, most times I say you can pass because they're thinking of it, but I'll say I'd like you to share after everybody else has shared. So here are the two statements, sentence frames that I offer my students in this situation, this lesson. What self-esteem means to me is trying to find that, that basic level, what my students know about self-esteem. And we can then fill that in with an official definition. We can look it online. We can give various answers in the classroom. The second thing, number 2, is helping others feel good about themselves is important because, again, going back to the objective, I'm teaching in this situation, I'm teaching my high school students to understand about self-esteem as they're with little kids, as they're with their students in their classrooms as volunteers. So the next one is statistics, and I'll talk about some statistics that I found online. In particular, there was an article called Student Self-Esteem and the School System, Perceptions and Implications by Murray, Mertens, Dustin, 2001. And in the article, it talks about some numbers from the National Center of Self-Esteem. And the idea is that as the student gets older, their self-esteem is diminished. Here are some of the numbers. 89% of kindergartners have a high self-esteem, or at least they report having a high self-esteem. And if you've been with kindergartners, as I have, they do feel very highly about themselves. It goes to 20% of fifth graders report feeling a high self-esteem, 20%. And I am also an elementary school teacher, so I have seen that with my own 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. And then it goes down to 5%. So 5% of the high school graduates have a high self-esteem. And then it goes down to 2% for college graduates. So this would be a great discussion at this point about, well, how does this affect kids as they come every day to school, depending on their grade level? How about even adults as you get into the workforce? So then I would get into the main activity of this lesson. Now this lesson I grabbed off of the CTE online website, and I'd like to give credit to Patty Stanley, who's a teacher that put this on there. You can search it. She's on under self-esteem. It's a great lesson, so thank you, Patty, for this. It's called I Am Lovable and Capable, she uses the letters IALAC, so I use that. The only thing I changed on her is she was focusing on a preschool student. I'm going to bump this up to a fourth grade student, so it's more applicable to my high school students that are working with elementary or middle school. So, in her lesson, she talks about getting some paper to students, and this paper would represent a student, any student. In this case, it's fourth grade Johnny. Now, I went ahead and said, well, I'm going to draw a picture of Johnny, what he would look like in my head. You can have your students do that. I also took a cutout from a magazine, and so that's possible too. So you can bring some art into it, some creativity, if you wanted to. So in this scenario, this represents Johnny. And then I'll read to you, and I have it posted here on the slide so that I can have students read along with me if they need that support as well. This paper represents Johnny. Johnny is a 10-year-old in fourth grade. Johnny's mom works and takes Johnny to school on her way to work. Over the past month, Johnny's mom has been late for work 3 times for various reasons. This morning, Johnny is having a difficult time waking up and getting ready. Johnny's mom calls up the stairs, "Johnny, get up. Are you in the bathroom?" As I've read that, you can feel the tone in her voice. I need you to go ahead and rip a piece of the paper. Again, this is representing Johnny's self-esteem. Johnny can't find one of his sneakers and runs down the stairs with only one sneaker. "Mom, I can't find my sneakers," Johnny says. "Johnny, if I'm late one more time, I will be fired." Rip off a piece of his self-esteem. "Get in here and eat breakfast." "Mom, I need my sneakers because today is PE day." "Eat your cereal and don't spill anything on your clothes." While Johnny sits down and eats his breakfast, his mom finds his sneaker and tosses it at his feet. What are you supposed to do? Yep. Rip away. "Now get everything together and get out the door." Johnny drinks the rest of his juice as he walks to the sink with his bowl. He races out the door and gets in the car. As his mom backs out of the driveway, Johnny remembers his backpack. "Mom, my backpack." "Johnny, what did I tell you? If I'm late to work, I'll be fired." She pulls back into the driveway. Johnny runs back in the house and gets his backpack, then heads off to work and school. So this is what's left of Johnny. So then I would have a discussion with my students about how do their papers look? What do they think Johnny, Sadai, or whatever student feels like? This is what we might be looking at or working with as they come in the morning at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Whether they came from a home, relative's house, shelter, from parents, guardians, relatives, foster care. It could be the classroom before this class, the teacher before they get to you, their friends. This is what we may be working with. So it's just something to keep in mind, as self-esteem does affect students. After the lesson, of course, we'd have that discussion, and we move on to just this last video. I call it YAB2, You Are Beautiful Too. I got it off again, YouTube. Elementary School Self-Esteem PSA.
stars look like they're not shining. Her hair falls perfectly without her trying. She's so beautiful, and I tell her every day. Yeah, I know, when I compliment her, she won't believe me. And it's so sad to think that she don't see what I see. But every time she asks me, do I look okay? I say, when I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change. 'Cause you're amazing, just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while. 'Cause girl, you're amazing, just the way you
There you have it. There's the lesson. I hope it's useful, or maybe give you some ideas of what you can do by changing things around to make it work for your classroom. This can be used again with kindergarten all the way up to college kids, adults. I think I was so attracted to this idea because I think it makes a difference. And if you're looking at this on the CTE website, you're probably a teacher, a parent, or somebody that is as passionate and loves students and kids, people that are learning as I do. So thank you.